Netherlands. Hello, Utrecht. You know, y'all had an amazing record fair last weekend. Did anybody go? Not a lot of record buyers here. One of the world's largest record fairs is in
right
Utrecht.
here last week, yeah.
And it was here last week, and I missed it by a week, but it is the fucking best. And people travel all over the world to be here for that. Vendors from everywhere.
Exactly.
It's an amazing record fair.
And you know what's cool?
That's what I want to do. I think I was too young for that, but the idea of traveling to LA and you know, working with people and being in commercials and stuff just sounded fun. And so my brother, my mom and I, my sister and my dad stayed home. We just moved to LA for like a few weeks thinking we would just give it a go. Got an agent and then started auditioning. And within the first 6 weeks of auditioning, I got my first job, which was the Paula Abdul.
So that was actually really the first job before Back to the
very
Future.
first job. Yeah, the very first,
same year, right?
Same year. Yeah, yeah. The very first thing I ever did. And then I did a number of commercials, and then I got a small part in Back to the Future 2.
Love it.
And that sort of like started my career, and it just kind of snowballed from there. There was no expectations. Like I didn't have, my mom didn't have any expectations that I would have a film career. It was really just sort of doing this for fun, and then it just became what it became over time.
Wow. So it really started out small and organically grew into this thing.
Totally. And the ambitions were never beyond doing commercials and stuff. Like it suddenly became so much bigger, very, very organically.
Such a great story, because honestly, Back to the Future 2 is such an amazing thing to be a part of, like the franchise.
And for me too, because I was old enough to have seen the original film, came out in '85. We shot that in '89. So like, when we were on the back lot, I knew where we were contextually. So that was pretty mind blowing. And that I was in a scene with Marty McFly was not lost on me. Like I was very excited.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
And that was at the 80s Cafe, right?
Yeah,
Cafe 80s. So I wanted to say something about some films a lot of people may not necessarily talk about all the time, but I thought they were really creative movies and very well executed. Grand Piano.
Oh man, yeah.
Anybody knows Grand Piano? You should check that film with him in it. It's phenomenal. And then also the more recent one, No Man of God.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those films are so intense and so unique and such creative phenomenons, I wouldn't say, but just very, not art house, but like they're special. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're special.
What is it like for you to prepare for roles like that? Because everybody knows you for the big franchises, but I think it's really some craftsmanship that goes into those.
Thanks, man. Well, Grand Piano, if you haven't seen it, 80 to 90% of the movie takes place in real time during a piano performance, a sort of classical music concert in the theater. While my character is being held at gunpoint, he doesn't see who's pointing a gun at him, but in his ear he's being told that he's being held at gunpoint. So that it's very intense. And I had to play a brilliant concert pianist, right? And I am not a pianist. I played piano when I was young. A little, I took lessons, and then quit, which I regret. So the learning curve was intense for the movie, and that was the first time I'd ever had to play a musician and be seen to be playing well in a movie. Hugely challenging, but so fun.
So the difficult pieces, you really had to learn those as well? At least try to play?
A lot of it was being in the right place at the right time, having my hands in the right area, and rhythmically being in the right time, right? So I would practice daily, and each day I would be told, you know, on the call sheet, I would know exactly what bars of music we would be doing. And I had my coach was also my hand double. So we would, so there's definitely stuff that was doubled, absolutely. And then there's a piece at the end of the movie that the whole movie is kind of leading up to.
Right.
This impossible piece.
What's the name of it again?
La Cinquette? Yeah. Wow, I can't believe I remember that. So yeah, it's that first, whatever, minute and a half is unbroken. So that's me playing.
That's phenomenal though.
And it's playing to a track, but it's me basically playing that first bit, and then as it gets closer, it goes above my hands, so you can't see my hands anymore. And then
nice, I love that. So as you can see, There are a lot of passionate fans here today. There was a long line at the square. Everybody, if you want to get your autographs and pictures, go do that over there. And I just wanted to know, before we go moonwalk into the whole LOTR thing, do you love fantasy, adventure, science fiction films, horror, like any of those things? Are you into those films?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge horror film fan. Love science fiction as well. I mean, I love fantasy as well. I wouldn't say I lean towards that as a favorite, but there's tons of fantasy films I love. I would say my jam is probably horror genre films, for sure.
Right. But even in the fantasy stuff, because I heard you say somewhere in an interview that when they were casting for Lord of the Rings casting, you were already reading the Tolkien books, right? Like you were into that world.
I had read The Hobbit as a kid,
right,
and loved it. So knew what it was, but I hadn't read Lord of the Rings yet. It's like one of those things of having read the first book, essentially, had the other books on the shelf and just never got around to it. Obviously, opened it up when we started shooting. But yeah, I was familiar with the world, and thusly very excited about it, and was thrilled also at the opportunity to work with Peter Jackson, because I was a big fan of Heavenly Creatures, and at that time I'd seen Brain Dead as well and loved that, and The Frighteners. So I was a big fan of his and wanted to work with him.
That's great. I love the fact that you were a fan of Peter Jackson
already.
Yeah, I love this stuff. So before I'm going to go into the Frodo part of this questionnaire, then we're going to go into the Q&A. I do want to ask you on stage, Celeste and Jesse Forever. If you guys haven't seen that film, Celeste and Jesse Forever, Elijah's in it. He plays a character named Scott. What was it like to work with Will McCormick and Rashida Jones? Because I thought that movie was phenomenally written.
Will and Rashida are amazing. It was a joy. Look, I had worked with Rashida. There's a TV show I was on called Wilfred, and she came and guested for an episode. And she knew our director through Parks and Rec. Our director, Randall Einhorn, had directed a bunch of episodes of Parks and Rec, so she was on Parks and Rec. I've been a fan of Rashida's for a long time. So Rashida reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm Will and I wrote this thing. It's loosely based on me and my dating history and friendship and all this. And there's this part for you, would you be open to doing it? And I was like, yeah, I'll do anything for you, Be awesome, he'd be so rad. And Andy Samberg too is in the film. That was a total joy. It was a real labor of love for everybody involved. Loved it. It was great. And Rashida's just amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. And I just love that film, the whole vibe, and I just wanted to shine some light on that movie and your work in it.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. So, obviously, you are Frodo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and in The Hobbit, the first one of that trilogy. And I want to say there's this authentic, fragile uniqueness about the way you portray that character, even though he has somewhat of a intriguing duality going on, like as far as, with the whole ring thing. What was it like for you to get into that psyche of a Frodo? Like, not only the outlook and the world, but just mentally, what kind of kid he is,
Well, Frodo starts as one thing and then very much changes and morphs throughout. It is a real journey that the character goes on, both physically and emotionally and mentally. So for me, the challenging thing was just getting a sense of what that arc was, and ultimately what he turns into, which is very much a shadow of himself. But he starts out as an adventure-loving hobbit, very, very unaffected and humorous and fun and sort of full of life. Shares a wisdom, I think, with his uncle, very unlike other hobbits in the sense that he wants to see the outside world. It's not actually very hobbity to want to leave the Shire. Bilbo was very odd in that way, and he sort of grew up under Bilbo and was fascinated by elves and all of these stories of adventure. So he kind of jumps into the journey with this real sense of enthusiasm. But very quickly, he has a pretty intense burden to bear and has this sort of, the intensity of that evil thing that he's holding on to. It just serves to sort of break him down over time. And so it was just understanding kind of what his core was, and then
Right.
sort of trying to get to the heart of what is breaking him down over time.
And you did that perfectly.
Thank you.
It's a fascinating trilogy. And then I want to switch the topic to sneakers. Because obviously the Hobbit feet are like different from regular feet.
Yes.
And you tell me if this is correct. I heard that you guys at a certain point had to hide the fact you were rocking Hobbit feet. So you were rocking green, big boots over the Hobbit feet?
Yeah,
is that true?
That is true. Yeah, we have these. Look, when we made the movies were made at a time when the internet was kind of in its infancy. Certainly in terms of like there being a lot of news coverage about movies, and certainly not a lot of like spies, so to speak. So there were only a couple of websites doing that.
There was no social media, really.
No social media at all. And there was the OneRing.net, there was Ain't It Cool News, that had their kind of spies trying to get photographs of what we were doing. But we were making the films in New Zealand, which really, at the time, wasn't on people's radar. We were kind of away from most folks with long lens cameras. No real paparazzi. But there were people trying to get photos. And so to sort of dissuade that, we would wear big robes, big green robes, and then our feet would be covered in these giant kind of moon boots that weren't very comfortable. It was fine. It's like a big sort of like Velcro strap to cover the feet from being photographed.
And we're like early Yeezys, maybe, like early oversized Yeezys to cover the Hobbit feet.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I'm gonna ask you. I got a bunch of questions, but I'll finish with one question. Then we go into the Q&A because I want everybody to get their chance to ask you a question. What's the craziest anecdote you can share about filming the trilogy of Lord of the Rings? Like, is there one thing that you really could share that's like, oh man, I never said that, never told that?
Craziest. I'm trying to think of anything that hasn't been told already.
Right.
I mean, one of my favorite anecdotes doesn't even involve me. It involves Vigo. He's doing a fight scene, and he got hit in the face with like a part of the sword, and it chipped his front tooth. So like a big chunk of his tooth came out. And this just sort of articulates the kind of person and actor that Vigo is that he didn't want to stop. They were like, okay, we got to take you to see a doctor, go to the dentist to have that dealt with properly. And he was like, no, just give me some super glue, I'll stick it in. And he just wanted to keep shooting. And I think he did maybe do another take or two, and then they fucking dragged him kicking and screaming because he had to actually deal with his tooth. But that's just very, very Vigo.
Obviously, you were there for years, so there's a lot of stories.
There's so many stories.
Man, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So let's move into the Q&A. Just to be sure, selfies, autographs, pictures, those are all going on over there. And you guys can ask anything about the movie in any movie because the strike is over.
Oh, yeah.
So feel free to, let loose and let's do this. The first question for Elijah Wood. What's up?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Are you a writer of Rohan?
Today I am.
Yes.
Thanks. Sorry. Over the Garden Wall is 10 years old this year.
Yes.
So I have two questions, and you can ignore the first one. But would you sing Word's terrible song for us? And otherwise, if you could direct and produce a horror story based in the Tolkien universe,
In the Tolkien universe?
what would it be about? Yeah.
Whoa.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
But you can also do the first question if you like.
Yeah. So the first question is Word's song. Which one is that?
I'm not gonna sing it.
Is it the duet with Upon the Winding River? That one?
There was one in a tavern where Greg is like asking Words to sing and to sing and to sing.
I don't remember the song.
Maybe you blocked it out if you remember.
It's really funny I love Over the Garden Wall so much. It's truly actually one of my favorite things that I've been a part of. I love it so much. And in the recording of it, the scripts would come sort of out of the blue before we would go to record. So sometimes there'd be surprises, like the night before I'd be told, or 2 days before, oh, there's a song you're gonna record on Tuesday. Like, oh fuck, is there? And have to like get comfortable with this piece of music. It's so fun. And any of those bits were always great. And the blasting company who wrote and recorded all the songs are geniuses. And the score is so amazing. That'll be available, like, and I think to be reprinted again maybe next year on vinyl if anybody knows it. It's so great, but it's on Spotify too. It's amazing. And then a horror movie in the Tolkien universe. I mean, I find that the creation of the Uruk-hai, the kind of birthing of them, to be pretty horrific and very much out of a horror movie, the way it was shot. So I don't know, something about like in that space feels right. And then maybe like some movie that focuses on the Ents just laying waste to shit would be pretty great, and get real graphic and violent with that maybe, I don't know.
Well, that's a great answer. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next question. Hi.
Hello.
What's your favorite scene of The Lord of the Rings?
Favorite scene, I would say it's a sequence, not a scene, but the entire Mines of Moria sequence from the first film. I love it. From when they enter to the cave troll to the Balrog, it's just unbelievable. Cinematically, it's my favorite, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Great. Next question. Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Hi, can you hear me? So, I've got a question about your most popular franchise. What is the one theme that resonates with you most in Spy Kids 3D Game Over?
Yeah.
Oh, the guy. What resonates with me most, I don't know, I think my only regret is that there's not more of the guy, you know?
Yeah.
But it's a great punchline, you know, to have like the ultimate player arrive with like full 99 lives, like, and in one fell swoop have it all like disappear before his eyes and meet his doom is just such a fucking hilarious joke. So it couldn't have really ended any other way. But it was so fun to make that. I had worked on a movie with Robert before, The Faculty, who I think Famke Johnson is here from The Faculty. We had so much fun. In fact, true story, I had never been to the Netherlands until we did press for The Faculty. We came to Amsterdam.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When was that?
It would have been 1997 or 98.
Wow.
So I was either 16 or 17, my first trip to Amsterdam.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
Nice.
Anyway, being asked by him to participate for this tiny little thing in Spy Kids 3 was just so much fun. It was just a day of work and hilarious. And I like that franchise. That franchise is awesome. That one's in 3D. It's great.
Is it Danny Trejo in that too?
In 3D, he might be. I mean, Trejo's like one of the Rodriguez players.
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Hi, I am
Hi.
really nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Lord of the Rings has been my thing since I was like 9. I wanted to ask you if you knew about the handshake theory, which is like you're 7 handshakes away from any famous people. And I've been trying to like for years now to get to the Lord of the Rings cast.
Okay.
Can I shake your hand?
Yeah. It's funny the handshake thing. It's like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Do you know that one? Where everyone's like always 6 degrees off from knowing Kevin Bacon. It kind of does work. Weirdly.
Thank you so much.
I'm only 1 degree though. I made a movie with Kevin Bacon
Right.
a couple years ago.
Which one was that?
It hasn't come out yet. It's the remake of The Toxic Avenger.
Bro, I was going to ask you about that. You're in that, right?
Yeah.
It's coming this year or next
It'll
year?
be next year.
Wow.
Next year. It's just played a couple of festivals in the U.S. It's really great and gory and funny.
Wow, I love that they redid
I
that.
know, it's awesome.
Oh man, bro, I collect movie props. I had the original mask from The Toxic Avenger too.
Oh shit, cool.
But the guy who sold it to me wanted it back, so I resold it to him.
Oh shit.
Who were you playing in that film?
I play this guy called Fritz, who is kind of a hunchback. I don't look like me at all, which is really fun. He is Kevin Bacon's brother in the film, who kind of is like his henchman, who does all of his evil bidding.
Right.
So I play a henchman, and I also manage a band in the movie.
Oh, nice.
This sort of like horrorcore band.
Wow. Anybody knows about The Toxic Avenger here?
It's so
Yeah.
good. You're gonna love it. There's a trailer online. You can see the trailer. It's
Oh
really
wow. Thanks, man. That's
Yeah.
I love that. Next question.
Hi, Elijah.
Hey,
It's the first time in 20 years. Finally get to meet you. It's an immense privilege
oh,
to see you.
thanks, dude.
I
Thanks.
have a question for you. What is the dream project or franchise where you would love to star in as an actor?
What is like a favorite franchise of mine? I mean, Star Wars. I grew up loving Star Wars. It was always my favorite. You know, I know they're still going to make Star Wars films. So, I would certainly love to be in the Star Wars universe, even if it's briefly. I did for Star Wars Resistance, the animated series. I did a voice for that, which was awesome, obviously. But to be in a live-action Star Wars movie would be a dream.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a dream.
Fire
I mean, come on, like just seeing that TIE fighter right there is it's very cool. It's so rad.
Would you be
Is that an X-wing cockpit?
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's dope.
Thank you. All right, thanks man.
Yeah.
Next question. Duidelijk in de microfoon praten alsjeblieft. Thanks.
Hi there.
Hi.
I would like to know if you can choose any actor, which actor you would love to play with in the future.
Oh man. Sadly, I'll never get to work with him because he's since passed, but I was a huge Philip Seymour Hoffman fan.
Oh wow.
I would say it's one of my favorite modern actors. But there's loads. Gary Oldman would be amazing to work with. I love what Robert Pattinson's doing.
Gary Oldman. I would love to see you with Benicio del Toro.
I mean, he's fucking genius. I love Robert Benicio. I mean, there's so many incredible actors that I admire, and yeah, I'd be privileged to work with so many people.
Gary Oldman's a good one.
Yeah, Gary Oldman is just a legend, you know.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next question. Hey.
Hello, I am actually here for my mom. She's a really big fan of Lord of the Rings, and she's actually in video call right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Hi.
Her name is Yolanda.
Yolanda.
Yes.
Hello, Yolanda.
All right, and she wanted me to ask you if you would play another character in Lord of the Rings, who would you want to play?
For me, the character of Gollum is probably my favorite. You know, the Riddles in the Dark chapter from The Hobbit is a favorite chapter in literature. And then obviously the way that character gets fleshed out in his backstory.